What's happening, everyone? I am Dial here with a trailer review. The official trailer has released for Wicked for Good, Wicked Part 2, the sequel to the original that came out last year, the big musical film sensation based off of The Wizard of Oz, starring Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. Uh, I gotta tell you, the first Wicked film was one of the biggest surprises of last year. Um, I was one of those people that have never seen the Wicked Broadway show. I've never seen it, and I feel guilty because I am a theater kid. And you would think that's probably one of the first musicals I would ever watch, but no, that's not the case. On top of the fact that the original Wizard of Oz is one of my favorite films of all time, so how did I miss this? I don't know. Life be lifing, man. So the movie was my first exposure to the Broadway show. This was my first experience with Wicked in general. And I absolutely loved the first Wicked. I thought it was great. I thought Cynthia Erivo was great as Alphaba, aka the Wicked Witch of the West, and Ariana Grande was great as Galinda, the Good Witch of the North. I thought this really helped to enhance the lore of Wizard of Oz and give more character and dimension to the characters that we knew from the Wizard of Oz. It actually, enhanced the story. It enhanced the world building. It enhanced the emotion and the nuance. I did not expect for that film to be as good as it was. And personal note, there was a lot of songs that I sang while I was in choir in high school that I didn't know where it was from. And then watching that movie and hearing some of the songs that are in there, not only all the musical numbers in the movie was great as well, but also just hearing those songs that I used to sing in choir and I had no idea where those came from. It was like, oh, so that's what that song was from. Cool. So yeah, so Wicked, they split into two parts. I guess because they wanted to perfectly line up with the runtime of the Broadway show and cover everything that was in the Broadway show. So I think that's a smart move. And thankfully, the part one was very successful. A lot of people loved it. That is just going to give part two much more momentum going into it. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up also being one of the biggest films of the year. I know the first film didn't make $1 billion, but I think this movie is possible to touch $1 billion. Just in my opinion, it also was nominated for a lot of awards. It should have won some more awards. I think it only won a couple of them. Definitely deserved more awards than Emilia Perez. That's just my opinion. But anyway, so with part two, they decided to slightly change the title. They decided to call it Wicked for Good, which, okay. I mean, I see what they did there. That's it. That is going to be one of the songs in the movie. So, and that's one of the songs in the Broadway show. So they wanted to name it after that, which is fine. I think it'll fit for what they're trying to go for, especially with the marketing. What I'm seeing with how they're playing with that. One of the things that just confuses me nowadays when it comes to films, like when they're splitting movies into two parts, it seems like they're ashamed of calling them part one and part two now. And I don't know why Hollywood's ashamed to call movies part one and part two. Is it because the culture's changed? It's because the audience, they're not as patient with part ones and part twos. I've definitely heard that around with moviegoers and people that I know that are starting to get more and more frustrated that movies are ending off on a cliffhanger and you have to wait almost a year or half a year for part two. So maybe it's just to, help condition the audience to make it feel like it's its own thing. But in all honesty, it's not. If you're going to commit to the part one and part two, commit to it, because Dune wasn't afraid to, well, actually, no, because Dune wasn't confident in being called part one, but at least part two, they called it part two. They weren't trying to make it another subtitle to make it feel like it's a completely different film, and I've always said that Infinity War should have been part one and part two instead of Endgame, This is my opinion. And then Spider-Verse, like originally it was going to be called Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 and Part 2, but now the third film's called Beyond the Spider-Verse. But that's probably a blessing in disguise because we're waiting so long for Beyond the Spider-Verse, and it seems like they're trying to go back to the drawing board with certain things with the story. But anyway, I digress. Let's talk about this trailer. What did I think about Wicked for Good? This trailer looked great. Pretty much following the stuff that we loved from the first film, continuing right where it left off. Well, I think there's going to be a bit of a time skip with this, but it looks as possibly could be as good as the first film. Looks like Galinda is fully going to be embracing her role as the Good Witch of the North, and then Alphaba fully becoming the Wicked Witch of the West. I am interested to see how their relationship and their dynamic will play off in this film. What's also interesting is that this seems to also work as it's possibly going to be a midquel to the original Wizard of Oz. So it seems like the events of the Wizard of Oz is going to play simultaneously with this. Once again, this is come from someone who has not seen the Broadway show, so I don't know where the story is going to go. So just me coming off of this, fresh practically, I'm just very curious to see how they're going to play the events of Wizard of Oz and Wicked at the same time, or is it going to be some more time skips in the movie? I don't know, but it's going to be very interesting to see how that works out. Really, this is one of the things I do like about these set of movies. You have no idea. At least for me, for someone who has never seen the Broadway show, and I'm already a fan of the Wizard of Oz, I'm actually interested to see where the story's going to go, because I don't know where the story's going to go, and I'm invested in all the characters. So it's like, man, I'm highly anticipating some twists and turns and some high emotions. Like, I'm really expecting that. And from what I'm hearing from people that have seen the Broadway show, they say that the second part does get a little darker. So I'm wondering how they are going to handle that. Because the first movie, for the most part, was for the most part family friendly. Had some scary undertones, but not enough for where you can't take your family to it. So I'm wondering how dark they're actually going to allow part 2 to be, if it is supposed to be a darker part of the story. But I'm sure they still want to make sure that families are able to come to this, so I don't think they're going to go too far. But only time will tell. I do want to see Cynthia Erivo get scary. I want her to actually become wicked, like obviously naturally, and there has to be a slow progression, of course, because we're still sympathetic towards her character. But like, I do want to see her slowly become more scary and becoming the wicked witch that we come to know. So hopefully that will play through all right. And then what's also sticking out to me is that there's going to be a wedding between Prince Fiero and Galinda. What is all that going on? And then what's going to go on with Alphaba's sister, Nesseros? Is she going to turn into the Wicked Witch of the East? I don't know. I don't know how that's going to play out. And then all the stuff with the wizard, how is that going to play out? And Madame Morrible. Yeah, a lot of questions in here. Good questions. And obviously, we know with the other characters, I'm seeing how the other supporting characters, how they're going to play out and how things are going to tie into the Wizard of Oz. It's all very exciting. And of course, I can't wait to hear the music in here. Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, they could sing, man. And their chemistry together is just amazing. So I cannot wait to see all of this. I cannot wait for November. Yeah, one of my most anticipated films outside of Superman and Avatar and stuff like that. But I'm definitely super excited to see this. Those are my thoughts on Wicked for Good trailer. What did you guys think about the trailer? Did you guys enjoy the first Wicked? Are you guys excited for this? Does the trailer get you more excited to see it? Do you guys think it will stick the landing as far as being faithful to the Broadway show and the novels and the overall lore of the Wizard of Oz? Do you like Cynthia Erivo as Alphaba? Do you like Ariana Grande as Galinda? Comment your thoughts down below and let me know.